I would at this time like to invite to the podium our other candidate for Vice President, Dave Wick from Montana. Mr. Wick.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dave Wick, and I stand before you as a candidate for Vice President of NAESP. First of all, I want to convey my best wishes to my friend and colleague, Dwight Cooper, in the upcoming election. I've been married to my wife, Carrie, for the past 22 years. I have two wonderful children, Mackenzie, who's 21, and Murphy, who's 18. I'm the proud principal of Columbia Falls Junior High in Columbia Falls, Montana, where for the past 20 years I've also served as the elementary education director in our district. I've worked at the high school, middle level, and elementary level over my career, so I feel I have the K-12 perspective necessary for a position of this type. I believe in the elementary principles of this great nation. I've been a member of NAESP and the Montana Association of Elementary and Middle School Principals for 23 years. I had the honor and privilege of serving on your national board as the middle level director, and it would be an even greater honor to receive your vote for Vice President of NAESP. I believe your next president should be a collaborative leader, one who listens more than speaks. I believe in this organization as an essential component to the successful principalship. I believe your next president should encourage members to join NAESP because this association has provided an incredible venue for learning from other principals who have much to teach us. I believe your next president should have the courage to make difficult decisions, the ability to creatively problem solve, and the ability to think through all sides of problems. And finally, your next president needs to be able to tell the story of the principal in a variety of settings. I believe that a principal's job is multifaceted with all the responsibilities of leadership, thought leadership, instructional leadership, advocacy, and day-to-day operations. We sometimes lose the most important element of our jobs, the human element. I believe that as principals, our job is to create community, to make meaning of the events of people's lives, to show grace and humility, and finally, to inspire awe. Let me share a couple of experiences lately that at the same time have both touched me and taught me about the power of human relationships in leadership. I believe in this organization because of many of you in this room. Principals across this country and in this association know how to build community and to show humanity. Last year when I lost the national election, it stung probably a little bit more than it should have. On the night of April 16th, my wife and I went out for dinner to celebrate my birthday. And there, to my surprise, at the next table were the people you see in this picture. Principals John, Carol, Bill, and their wonderful spouses. They had come to show their support, to smile, to laugh, and to be there in the most human of ways. They had traveled 220 miles one way, not far by Montana standards, just to be with us. I've never been so touched by a gesture in my entire life. Do you remember the line from It's a Wonderful Life? No man is a failure who has friends. That's what I felt that night. Another experience occurred this past summer just before I left for DC for the National Convention. We were shocked to hear of the tragic death of a family friend and law enforcement officer by the name of Brad Treat. Brad, a wonderful outdoorsman, was out for a mountain bike ride near his home when he literally ran into a grizzly bear on the trail. Death came quickly and brutally, and all his companion could do was go for help. This, however, was not the end of the story. This past Christmas, we received a Christmas card from Summer, Brad's wife. There were two pictures. The first one you see on the screen is a picture of Brad at the end of the boat dock at Lake McDonald. And yes, he's clicking his heels. And the message was, be thankful. And we turned over the card, and this picture showed, a picture of a sunset with the caption, Sunset on 6/29/2016. You see, that night, she and her family had climbed to the top of their newly built home, appropriately called the Lookout, and Summer took a picture of the sunset. She looked at the sunset, she looked at her family, and she said, "There's Brad telling us he made it." As we looked at the Christmas card, we were reminded of the powerful lessons to be learned in life, and tears fell on our table that day. Through her Christmas card, Summer was building community, making meaning, exhibiting grace and humility, and inspiring awe through her spirit. The school community, starting with the kids, looks to us for that human side of leadership. And in conclusion, I want to say thank you for being a principal. Obviously, I believe that being a principal is more than high standards and test scores, evaluations and professional development, advocacy and curriculum. It's about filling a need in the most human of ways, for without that, we cannot accomplish any of those other tasks. If given the opportunity, I would do my best to represent that most human side of education. In this country and in this climate, we need strong leadership that exemplifies that humanity. I would be honored and humbled to receive your vote for Vice President of NAESP, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Dave. At this time, we're going to move on to the question and answer portion of the presentation. Dave, you have 2 minutes to respond to the following question. If you were given the opportunity to meet with Education Secretary DeVos, what would be the key issues that you would want to discuss with her?
Thank you, Eric. That's a loaded question. Let me start with that. First of all, I want to say that first thing I would try to do would be to hide my frustration and look for ways to collaborate with her. I think it's important that we listen to our officials in the government and to show that collaboration and respect. I second would try to find common ground with her. I think I do have some common ground with her. One is that I think the states should have more control than the federal policymakers on what we do in each state, because all our states are different. I would politely disagree with her on every other area she's been working on. So I believe that educating her is important. So the first thing I want to say is I disagree with her totally on the effectiveness of public schools. As a 34-year veteran teacher, coach, and principal, I've seen the incredible power and effectiveness of public schools. So I disagree with her totally on that. I disagree with funding schools as a private enterprise, utilizing vouchers, portability, and providing incentives for private charters is the wrong approach. I believe that her idea of defunding public schools is really wrong for a lot of different reasons, including the underfunded mandate for special education, the dangers and problems with portability and decreasing Title I funding in terms of equity, and decreasing the money available for principal training. All of those are negatives. And I was going to make a joke about Principal Jerry and his school choice, but I do believe in school choice like he does. The one-size-fits-all approach is wrong. We are a frontier state. You might be a rural state, urban, suburban district. I just don't think the one-size-fits-all works. Last thing I want to say is her wealth, of course, came from the Amway company. One of their slogans is built on the power of a dream. The American public schools are the backbone of our democracy, as every student in every school has the opportunity for greatness, the choice to be successful, to be a lifelong learner, to be the best that we can be at whatever we choose. Now that's the power of a dream.
Thank you, Dave. We'll move on to the second question, which Dave will select randomly. Again, the candidates do not know these specific questions, only the nature of them. Are you ready, Dave?
I am.
Okay, Dave, the question is, If given the opportunity to speak to new principals, what message or advice would you want to give to them?
Well, this is a fairly simple question for me because I've met with a lot of new principals over the years. The first thing I would tell a new principal is put students first. Build those relationships with students in whatever way you can. That'll take you a long way with your parents and community. Greet them at the door, have a smile for them. Openness is very important. The second thing I'd do is tell them to find a mentor, whether it's through NAESP, their state association, or just a principal in their district or area that can help them. I think that's a very important element for a new principal. I would tell them to be a lifelong learner, and I'm a great example of that. I learn something every day and continue to do so. I would tell them to listen to their staff. I think that's one of the things we don't do sometimes, is listen to what they're actually saying, what their concerns are, and make sure that we're not just trying to speed along the track that we think is the way to go. I would tell them, let's see, I have something else. Oh yeah, admit mistakes and learn from them. I think that's really important. I once gave a presentation to staff about a book called Being Wrong, and I talked to them about saying you're sorry and how important I really think that is. I think we need to control our emotions, but show our emotions when needed. In our building, we've lost staff members, students, spouses, and I think we need to show our humanity for them. And I would give them a quote, one of my favorite quotes, by a coach by the name of Jim Valvano. And he said, to me, there are 3 things we should all do every day. We should do this every day, these things every day of our lives. Number 1 is laugh. You should laugh every day. Number 2 is think. You should spend some time in thought. And number 3 is you should have your emotions move to tears. Could be happiness or joy. But think about it. If you laugh, you think, and you cry, that's a full day. That's a heck of a day. You do that 7 days a week, you're going to have something special. And I believe that being a principal is a special opportunity, and I would encourage any young principal with those words. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dave. Good job and good luck.